Imagine yourself standing in a ring, the spotlight focused on you. There's no audience, no coach shouting directions, just you, the silence, and the weight of what's to come. Sounds scary, right? But what if I told you that this scenario is actually life for all of us? A space where we face challenges that seem insurmountable, where the only certainty is that the next blow will come, but it's up to us to decide how we react. Life, like the ring, requires us to know what is worth fighting for. But how often do we stop to think, what really matters to me? What is so essential that I'm willing to face fatigue, pain, and even defeat in order to achieve it? These questions may seem simple, but in the rush of everyday life they often go unanswered. And this is where many lose their way, fighting battles they haven't even chosen. Do you ever feel like you're fighting more with yourself than with the world around you? Cornel West, a great philosopher, once said that the greatness of life lies in how you face adversity with grace and courage. That's the crux of the problem. We are our greatest adversaries, fighting against our fears, insecurities, and inner doubts. It's not about defeating the other. It's about overcoming the barriers we ourselves have created. And in the meantime, the world goes on spinning. There's work, bills to pay, responsibilities, relationships. It all feels like one big whirlwind, as if we're constantly on a tightrope, trying to balance life while facing the unexpected punches it throws at us. What keeps us on our feet then? Perhaps it's the determination to get up, even when the fall seems inevitable. Now imagine an analogy. Every blow you take is a lesson. Every fall is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to adapt. As Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden, our greatest glory lies not in never falling, but in getting up every time we fall. Think about it. Are your defeats really failures or invitations to become stronger? The big question that arises is, how can we identify what is really worth fighting for? How can we silence the chaos around us and listen to the inner voice that guides us? This is where the journey begins. Over the next few moments, we'll explore not only how to face challenges, but how to do so with resilience, focus, and above all, self-respect. For now, hold on to this thought. You alone are responsible for your results. What will you do from now on to make sure it's worth it? The answer to that question could change everything. Fighting for what you really value starts with a simple but powerful question. What am I willing to sacrifice to achieve what I want? In the ring of life, sacrifice is not optional. It is inevitable. If you're avoiding discomfort, you're giving up growth. As Octavio Paz said in El laberinto de la soledad, man is made up of choices that reflect his inner battles. Choosing to fight, even knowing that the path will be arduous, is one of the greatest demonstrations of courage. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. Fear is that invisible adversary that whispers in your ear that you're not good enough, that you'll fail, and that maybe you shouldn't even try. That's when you need to remember, you are the biggest adversary you will face in life. It's not the demanding boss, the absent partner, or the difficult conditions. It's you. The doubts and insecurities that echo in your mind can be as paralyzing as a punch in the stomach. Think about it. Every blow you take is a lesson, but what defines the impact of that lesson is how you choose to react. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius reflects that the obstacle in the way becomes the way. Each challenge that arises is not an insurmountable wall, but an invitation to develop resilience and creativity. In other words, when life knocks you down, it also teaches you how to get up smarter and stronger. This is where the turning point happens. When you realize that control is in your hands, everything changes. You may not be able to control the blows that come from outside, but you can control how you position yourself in the face of them. It's the difference between being passive and taking charge of your life. And it's not about winning every fight, but about fighting meaningfully. Let's explore an example. Imagine you're trying to start a new project, whether professional or personal. Criticism starts to roll in. This will never work. You have no experience. Why don't you try something safer? These comments are like hooks in your emotional gut. However, it's in these moments that you need to remind yourself that your struggle is bigger than other people's opinions. If you know that what you're pursuing is genuinely valuable, the only support you need to keep going is your own. At this point, ask yourself, what are the blows that have knocked you down the most? Lack of time, lack of confidence, fear of failure? Recognizing these internal obstacles is the first step towards tackling them. As Kierkegaard observed, anxiety is not the enemy. It's a sign that you're on the verge of something significant. Use that anxiety as fuel. And here's a practical reminder. Take one small step today. Just one. If it's a big project, make a draft. If it's a difficult conversation, send a simple message. If it's your health, go for a 10-minute walk. These small movements are your way of telling the world and yourself that you're not going to give up. As we reflect on this, ask yourself, how can I turn my falls into platforms for my next leap? This change in perspective could be the turning point you've been looking for. When you finally start fighting for what really matters, something incredible happens. You realize that you don't have to win every battle. True success doesn't lie in coming out unscathed, but in coming out stronger, wiser, and above all, more connected with yourself. Remember that every fall is an opportunity to rebuild yourself with more solidity and purpose. This realization is the final turning point. The climax of your personal growth process is not a moment of grandiose triumph, but a simple and profound realization. You are enough. Not because you have already achieved everything you want, but because you are on the right path, learning and evolving. Marcus Aurelius's Stoicism teaches that the soul is strengthened by facing adversity, and character is defined by the choices we make in the face of chaos. Therefore, by getting up after each blow, you are shaping the most authentic version of yourself. Let's go back to the ring for a moment. Imagine the bell ringing at the end of the fight. You're exhausted, maybe you have a few new scars, but what matters is that you stood your ground. It's not about comparing your performance to that of others, but recognizing the progress you've made. As Aristotle taught, excellence is a habit, not an isolated event. And this habit is built on the small acts of courage and persistence that you practice every day. Now it's time to act. What does taking action mean? It's not about changing your life all at once, but choosing something simple and starting now. Maybe you decide to set aside 10 minutes a day to reflect on what really matters to you. Maybe it's time to say no to something that drains your energy, or yes to an opportunity you're afraid to embrace. Whatever it is, change starts with one step. Also consider the importance of surrounding yourself with allies on this journey. Just as a boxer needs his team in the corner of the ring, you also need people to support and encourage you. But remember, your fight is personal, and no one can fight for you. As Søren Kierkegaard said, each person's greatest task is to become who they really are. As I close this reflection, I want to leave you with a powerful image. Visualize yourself in a year's time, looking back on the struggle you face today. What story do you want to tell yourself? Do you want to say that you gave up or that you had the courage to carry on? Time will pass either way, but what you do with it will determine the quality of the life you build. And finally, remember, nobody fights alone. Share your battles with others, inspire and be inspired. If you like, leave in the comments the lessons that life has taught you. This exchange of stories is what makes us stronger, because it reminds us that, in the ring of life, we are all fighting for something. Now it's your turn to get in the ring and make it count. How about starting today? Small steps lead to big changes.